yourself, and then we're gonna go from there.
You write down what you're gonna say?
If it's a lot of information, yes, I write it down.
Why can't you just say what you think to say?
I do say what I think layered on top of the facts that I need to speak about.
Then why don't you just read from there?
I do read from there. That's what you'll see. Don't you see that when you watch the videos, or you never watch the videos? I know Mama never watches them.
No.
No what? You don't watch them?
No. I only watch the ones with Kaya, Emmy, and me, and the ones that are, like, not just talking.
They're all just talking. Okay. Welcome, center camera. So you're only looking at this one, okay? Back straight. Remember we talked about posture yesterday. You told me about posture. Introduce yourself. Center camera, let's go.
Hi, I'm Arya.
How old are you?
10.
Who are you? How do I know you?
Why don't you know?
What?
Why don't you know?
This is daughter number 1. A couple weeks ago you saw daughter number 2, so we're involving the eldest. The first franchise is now on scene. Hopefully you say a little bit more than the last time you guys were on. We can clip back to that too. You guys were in the middle and you were small, timid. Now you're big adults. Okay, so today we are discussing, I think the title we're going to go with for episode 257 is how they make it more expensive. This is going to be a fun one. Lots of stats. Al, this is yet again not going to be our 10-minute video. We've got our John Malik mug here. That's John Malik, Native Ads. One of the best public speakers I think I've ever actually seen in person. I will give him that credit. I strive to speak like him, we'll say. So Google that man and look at his tech talks, okay? You remember Uncle John? You need to speak up, pronunciate louder. You have a microphone, but it still needs to speak like you're speaking to me normally. Now, there's 2 aspects to what we're going to go into today. When I say they, obviously I mean the government who makes this the most expensive. Not realtors like myself. I wish we had that much credibility, but we don't. And not developers, the almighty hated developers of this world that everyone SHITs on constantly, including us, of course, but that's what we're here for, just taking the hits and moving forward. But today I'm going to shine some light. Researching this actually shone a bit more light to me as well that I knew from prior, but a little bit of light on why our real estate is so expensive. Are you ready? You got to look at the camera, you need to enunciate and talk, don't shake. Yes, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm ready. To the camera.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, listen carefully because there might be a test for this mid-talk. Okay, let's go. So we got to take this back a few steps first and realize a couple things. So I'm only going to go back as far as the beginning of COVID because that's when all of this was really been emphasized and discussed from. So obviously, as we know, when money gets cheap, people take it. So I'm going to show a chart right here, right now, Al. This is going to go up. We're only going to look at from 2020, where we start seeing this dramatically sharper increase up to today. So that is basically Canada's M2 money supply, meaning cash, bank accounts, anything you can directly spend. So this is all the money, the cash per se, even though money in a bank is not cash, the accessible, quick access money, we'll say, in the country. So as you can see, before 2020, we're on a steady increase. That's then manufacturing inflation, as we know. So the prices of things go up every year. It's all manufactured. You should know this by now after everything we've been through and are going through. But anyway, we won't go to that side of the chart. We'll go to the right. So to the right of 2020, we see that dramatic increase. So what did they start doing? They started handing out checks. They started printing money. So inflation, in this case, total M2 money supply has increased 33% since 2020. Is it a cop?
No. No.
33% since 2020. So the whole collective money, let's say, in Canada, all of it has increased 33% since 2020. So what's that going to do, you ask? A little bit more details and context. We had $1.8 trillion of M2 money jumped up to 2.4. So that's a $600 billion increase. I know these numbers are stupid and hard to fathom, but this is what it is on a on a Canada-wide scale, of course. So there's now 2.4 trillion, not billion, in circulation. So what does that mean? Simply put, new money enters the system that discredits all the money currently in the system in the form of bringing its value down. So you add, the value goes down, diluting its own value, of course, and then the money that we have is worth less. Now, how do we understand that? It's still a $20 bill or a $50 bill or a $10 tick on the screen. Well, from the other side of things, now prices are going up. So it's not that prices are going up. Yes, they're going up on the shelf, your bread and your whatever, but it's the money that you are using to buy it with has lost value. So they need more of it to buy the same thing. But you only see the price going up. And that's where we get into narratives, which are aspects of this, but the grocery store is bumping up prices, price gouging, blah, blah, blah. Yes, those things take place as well, but the bulk fundamental is the money supply has been diluted, the value of it is now down, and you need more of it to buy the stuff. So, specifically speaking, and when they say buy real estate, it goes up every year. Buy stocks, they go up every year. These are very common parking points for money to sustain value, and inflation hedging is taking place there as well. Put my money in a house because it's going to go up every year. Put my money in the market because it's going to grow every year. So these things go up typically because that's where a lot of the money gets put to be stored, and that's the attention those assets are getting while the currency is being diluted. So that's the first thing. 600 billion added in Canadian currency, this type of currency, since 2020. So that is massive. I'm not going to go into the debt or anything like that. I have notes on that here, but we don't need to talk about that. So, does that make sense? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you understand. So, how are they making it more expensive for us? So there's two aspects of this. You, me, the people on the ground, working citizens of the country. We see a number of touch points from the government. They're touching us in many different ways. So on the purchase of real estate, which this is focused around, of course, how is the government making things more expensive? We've got GST on new product or substantially renovated, another loophole for them to get in there and reclass something new. We got property transfer tax, that's on every purchase, 1% on the first 200, 2% on the balance. Vacancy tax, speculation tax, foreign buyers tax, all of the above. And those are the front ground level costs that the government, we can say, how does the government add definitely not value, add expense, that's how they do it. Then we go to one step behind the curtain, which is where it gets very interesting. This goes to the developer level. So we're going to focus mainly on high-rise development, which is obviously the focus of density today. There's the same thing going on to a less degree on single-family detached development, all this missing middle stuff that we've talked about, land density coming down the pipeline, not high-rise, not mid-rise, but not low-rise, I should say, but actual single-family lots getting done and densified. But today we're focusing on the high-rise because that's where the bulk of it currently comes from. So we're going to touch on two main points here. DCLs. Do you know what that stands for?
No.
That stands for Developer Cost Levies, also known as DCCs, Developer Cost Charges. So what these are, quoted, money from infrastructure-related growth charged at $1 per square foot rate based on residential development, and then on top of all other municipal charges for the developments going forward. That's that. We're going to go into some glistening example shortly. And then CACs, the big one, it seems like the city of Vancouver developed this and now it's spreading, unfortunately, like the bureaucratic diseases these people develop. at City Hall, across other communities, suburbs, and so forth. So we're seeing these CACs pick up. These CACs stand for Community Amenity Contributions. What does that mean? Cash payments, donations of park space, childcare spaces, recreational facilities, public libraries, art and cultural spaces, social and affordable housing portions of development, or isolated building of entirely new social and affordable housing developments and transportation infrastructure. What does all that mean? These are the costs that the city attacks the developers with as the carrot to get building permits. So the city has got its golden goose of the real estate market, and it will and is attacking it and tapping it at every level. Oh, Jesus.
The reunion we've all been wanting, hey?
Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm here for Aria, not for you, of course. How's it going, Ari?
Hi, good.
Feel the love. I'll let you carry on going back to depreciation reports, I don't doubt. See you later!
Benjamin Mark with a C. Robinson, everyone. As you all remember, I'm sure. Do you remember where I was? Don't look so worried. It's okay. There's no big test at the end of this. You can smile. You're okay. You're in a safe space, okay? This is just information flow. I know the government is very scary people, but we will get through it as we always do. Now, these are the things on the back end that the government is attacking the developers with, again, as that carrot. So let's get into some examples of what these actually are to show you the depth of what's happening behind the curtain. But a fundamental fact that we all have to remember, quote, I believe this is from the Vancouver Sun journalist that wrote what I'm about to go through in part, if fewer units can sell at prices that cover increased costs, then fewer units will be built. So if the developers can't make money, they're not going to build. And if you want all this density and all these houses and all this great warm fuzzy stuff to allow the city to develop against the wishes of our beloved / hated NIMBYs of the city, and developers are not here for fun, they're here to make money, which should be obvious, should be a fact of life that isn't hated, it just is what it is, and we need them desperately if we want any level of affordability to take place. So, DCLs, or DCCs, developer cost levies. Sorry. Now, some examples of this, they've already doubled this year, put in place by the City of Vancouver. So water and sewage are the most cost intensive or expensive infrastructure projects we can do here. So 82.5% of sewage related costs is developer covered, and 50% of water related costs are developer covered in these projects, and 99% of all system expansion is covered by developers. Not the water sales when you have to pay your bills at your home, your liquid waste sales by the homeowners. It's all the developers paying for this upgrades. The city has found that that's a very valuable golden carrot they can dangle in front of said developers, and they can get all this expensive infrastructure built by the developers. Isn't that nice? But who actually pays? I can assure you it's definitely not the developer. They pay up front, but that is passed back. And everything that is ever passed back is passed back to you and I, the people on the ground, the end users. So, the DCL, developer cost levies, in Vancouver residential this year for high rise is $32 a foot, okay? And quickly escalating. Doesn't seem like that much at this point, but just wait, there is more. Now, Ken Sim, our new blissful shotgunning beer on stage mayor, has come out and said the City of Vancouver is now delaying the increase of the 2023 DCL taxes as they had planned to go ahead with, and are now postponing it to 2024. That's going to now be a 20.8% increase in 2024 on residential and a 28.3% increase on non-residential DCLs in September of 2024. They needed a third-party consultant to tell them, and I quote, current economic conditions are challenging. I wonder what that costs. The reason for the delay. So they're not decreasing tax amounts, they're not pausing tax amounts, they are postponing a delay of increasing the tax amounts. Something exciting out there? No? Just some birds? You don't want to learn about this stuff? You'll be happy to know this. There was a recent RBC economics report that also highlighted construction costs in Canada have increased 51% since 2020. How does that work? Concrete is up 55%, steel is up 53%, labor costs is up 9.4%, which I believe is heavily undermarked, as there's quite a large labor shortage. Now, another gray one in digging down this deep hole I've found is obviously the higher costs of fuel has gone up since then. And now digging into that, my thought was transporting all the goods and yada, 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 and all that. But obviously fuel also affects everyone else day to day. So I decided to dive in a little deeper there because there's so much talk about carbon taxes being so good for us and saving the environment. So let's look into it. As of April 2023, the cost of the tax alone imposed on gasoline will cost BC drivers a total of 77.4 cents per litre in the Lower Mainland. How's that broken up? There are 2 provincial carbon taxes totaling 31 cents a litre. That's the highest in Canada, here in BC, where we have no way of getting their beloved discussed rebates. There's 1 provincial excise tax of 8.5 cents a litre. What is an excise tax? That is now a fixed federal tax. Typically, you have a $100 product, taxes are applicable, X percentage on 100. It's going to be more than the taxes on a $50 product. An excise tax is a fixed amount. Thank you very much, federal government. Again, they don't care what the cost of gas is. There's that fixed 8.5 cents. There's a TransLink tax of 18.5 cents per litre, and then just a plain old federal government tax of 19.4 cents a litre. So, not to leave out, if your house is heated with natural gas, you're also paying on average $227 more a year. So, are people driving less because they are worried about the environment? Absolutely not. If you need to get to work, you're driving. They may be driving less because they can no longer afford the gas in their car, but they're definitely not driving less due to the fundamentals behind the narrative of the carbon tax. So what they are doing, which is factual here, is finding areas that people can't live without, cars, transport, home heating in a country like Canada, and taxing it more. So it's very disheartening to go down these paths of how they're dealing with this. And it's not that they're doing anything different. There was always taxes on these things. They're just choosing to amplify the taxes in these areas, knowing that they will get away with it under the guise of the keywords that I'm not going to mention now. So there was a third-party consultant group brought in way back, focusing on the 2018 Canby Corridor Plan. This is very interesting, so this is not something I'm going to skip, even though we're already at this time point. So they took an average 800 square foot unit, which sold for $960,000. There's a 3-year wait time on permits and a 2-year construction timeline. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to read along with all this. This is stuff you need to keep in mind forever. So, the costs involved in building these units. Again, where is the government touched here? Municipal regional costs, residential property tax, vacancy home tax, community amenity contributions, Metro Vancouver sewage development cost levy, TransLink development cost charge, community public art, building permit fee, development permit fee, and zoning charges. That's municipal and regional costs to that developer. Provincial costs, property transfer tax, there are 2 layers of that, one at 2%, one at 3%, speculation tax additionally, and the third is the federal cost of 5% GST. So all of that broken down on this 800 square foot unit, selling at $960,000, you have $314.65 sellable square feet of cost. That is $251,721 of that $960,000 unit is city cost. Fees and taxes, 26% is taxes and fees. Not screw the developer, they're gouging us. Not screw the realtors, they're charging everyone too much money. The city, 25%. off the top. I know, it's ridiculous. The developers on a good project will make 15%. The city automatically for the golden carrot is making 26. Now on a 500 square foot studio, they're making $157,000 up of that cost. 700 square foot one bed, $220,000 of city taxes and fees. 900 square foot unit, $283,000. And a 1,200 square foot 3-bedroom unit, $377,000 of taxes and fees from the city. For example, on that same $960,000 unit, the real estate fees on a standard real estate fee, there's no fixed fees, Competition Act, 7 and 2.5 would be $28,500. So an absolute fraction of the cost of doing the deal. The developers putting up all of the time and risk and money to build it for you, and 26% on average taken off the top. Charged to you, the end user, from city taxes and fees. So as you can quickly see, this gets ridiculous very quickly, but isn't discussed. Developers are pricks, realtors are a-holes, is the ground level. But if you take one step back, CACs, now this is where it gets ridiculous, and I know we're getting long, so I'll cut this short. Community amenity contributions. So some examples of this: Georgia Street, the old Chevron that sold in 2017 for $72 million. They paid for that lot. They've gotten approval for 33 stories, 127 units. Their CAC cost is $26.1 million. It's a big number, right? Now, if we divide that evenly by 127 units, that's $205,000 per unit to the CACs for the golden carrot of the access, the right for the permit to build. There's another building at 1650 Alberni, 43 stories going up, $33 million in CACs. The city quoted, I believe again, this is the city of Vancouver, quote, city trying to keep Cole Harbour full of luxury condos to keep the CACs high in order to replace what they have planned to replace, which is the West End Community Center, the West End Library, and the West End Aquatic Center. How do they do all this? God forbid they take all the income tax that we're all paying to layer on. They can just gouge the developers. And all those people that want to buy new condos foot the bill. So in 2021, the city gave 75 rezoning applications and earned themselves a whopping $300 million in CACs. Who pays for that? Day 1 to day 2, the developer pays. Day 900 or 1200, you, the end user, pays. And maybe not just the people that buy brand new, but as those benchmark prices are built in the market, we know the market is a reflection of comparables. So those comparables layered in with all that government money to build their new community centers, so on and so forth, because they don't have enough already, is what you're paying. So the combination of, I'm tying up here just so you know, DCLs and CACs, the Canada Home Builders Association, the City of Vancouver, is the highest municipal fees in exchange for approval of new high-rise development permits in the country, and they average $157 a square foot, which is up 25% since 2020. Surrey, $61 a square foot, up 54%. Burnaby, $24 a square foot, up 37%. So all these taxes are much easier for them to get passed because they are given to front end, the big bad corporate developers, which of course all trickles down to comparative costs of real estate, which is what's keeping real estate high. Low-rise costs up from 29 to 62% as well for those prices per square foot since 2020. And that's it. Was it interesting? Was it boring?
I don't know.
Did you listen to any of that?
A little.
What?
A little.
Can you repeat one thing I said as we close out here?
2020.
2020 was the year it all began, dating back to that chart. Yes, good work. So in conclusion, again, what can we do about this? I thought long and hard about that, and unfortunately, all I came up with was You gotta go out there and make more money. That's it. You can vote, it's not gonna do much. You can complain, that's gonna do nothing. Or you can move. We can leave this beautiful province, city, and go somewhere cheaper. It's an option, but there's really not a lot you can do on the ground here if you want to own that real estate. You don't have to own. You can rent to put the difference in money into other investments. Owning isn't always the best case. And unfortunately, as I'm sure the younger generation watching this will agree with, it's getting harder and harder to see yourself, picture yourself owning in the future. Like little guys like this, how are they going to do it? I'm going to have to work a lot harder to assist, I'm sure. So with that being said, Al, time count.
26, 20, I don't know.
Deep 20s. Thank you. Do you have anything to say to the nice people? Anything? Do you want to say hi to anyone? Emmy said hi to you. You better say hi to her.
I can say hi to her.
Say it here.
Hi.
Zero love. See you next week. You got to do the salute with like intent. With look, eye contact.